Hey guys, Christopher Marlowe here, and I thought I would make a series of videos because this is all about chains of Airwindows plugins. So I thought I would start by showing you this sort of weird effect. First, a little bit of the dry song. This is definitely a work in progress. In fact, I'm a little bit further along than it is than I
beside me.
So that's like the vocals with nothing on it, except a little bit of like, I guess I did some EQ, compression, and de-essing. I just sort of slapped that on a little bit because I'm not actually mixing this song right now. But here's what it sounds like with this sort of weird psychedelic. To me, it's psychedelic. Stereoizing thing.
Tree walking beside me, buried in scarlet and tumbled in sand under the oak tree. Roots for hands.
Doesn't really
Tree
lose a whole lot of volume.
walking beside me.
When you put it in mono.
Buried in scarlet.
But that's the idea. So, what is this? Well, I thought I would just go through this one by one for your edification. This started, I think, sort of right around the time that this plugin came out. This is called ADT. It's an artificial double tracking plugin. That's what that stands for. Which you can Google if you want more info about since the 60s, I think, or 50s or 60s. And it's just taking your dry, like vocal signal, for example, and running a couple of static delay lines on it. And I think back then they would do things like they would sort of manipulate the tape speed to kind of get this sort of weird synthetic double tracking situation. These are designed to just be static. You can automate them with LFOs if you like, but that's not what I'm doing right now. What I thought was, what if I go into this plugin pin connector in Reaper in the plugin window and get rid of one of the outputs. I mean, it doesn't get rid of one of the outputs, but so now what'll happen is the left channel won't have the plugins processing applied to it, but the right channel will. So on the left channel, we just get the dry signal. So if we turn that on and off,
Tree walking beside me.
we already are getting this sort of stereo effect. And if you have this output level right at 0 or in the middle, you might notice the stereo image leaning one way or the other, like towards the right channel. And if you notice that, you can just bring the output down, and that'll sort of help to balance it out a little bit. So it sounds about right, or in the middle, you know. So
the oak tree, roots for hands.
I think the reason it sounds good, or it doesn't lose a whole lot of, it keeps a bit of mono compatibility, I think, is because we actually have the dry signal coming through on both sides still. Because this is like parallel processing on the plugin side. So on the right channel, we have the dry signal and then also these delayed signals on top of that. So that means that the two channels will be slightly different, but we still have that dry signal coming through on both sides. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that's what it is. It just came to me recently, or yesterday, I think. Anyway, not entirely important, but that's how I think that's working. Just for those of you who are Reaper users, I like having this VU meter here, so I can see the level going into ADT and also into another plugin down here. But the way you do that is you just instantiate the JS Effect VU meter, and you right-click, show embedded UI in MCP, Mixer Control Panel. There you go. It's great. ADT input. This is just a gain plugin, pure gain. And just really quickly, if you want to customize the name of the plugin and the plugin parameter, you can do that just by right-clicking on either of these. For the plugin instance, you right-click rename effects instance, and then for the parameter, well, to get it out here, you actually you can touch the touch the parameter, and then go to param, show in track controls, and I like to have it grouped with the plugin that it's from. So I go down to the Mixer tab here, and group effects parameters with their inserts. So that's fun. Now I have this here, and I just keep an eye on this, because if this goes over 0, that's sort of like this is an area where ADT might distort, because it actually has a headroom control. So I keep this all the way to 2, which is like max headroom, but it'll still like distort if you go over that. I think this is probably like 0 digital ceiling. I'm not sure about that though. So, all right, so we have another gain plugin. In case I had to, pad this down on the way in, we can turn it up on the way out. This is going into, I added this side pass plugin. All this is just a high pass on the side frequencies, or the stereo bass, or stereo frequencies. So I can kind of clean it up a little bit. So like before and after. Tree. Tree. I feel like it gets rid of a little bit of that mud, and since it's stereo bass, it sometimes doesn't stay in there with the mono playback. So next is the other big part of this, which is power seg 2. I usually start with it like this. So before and after. And on. Walking beside me. Turn it up a bit here. Beside me. The thing you want to remember about this plugin is if you can't hear it doing anything, that usually means you just gotta turn up the gain on the way into it. So that's why I have a purist gain here, and I'm just kind of gonna crank that a little bit. And that's why I also like having a gain on the afterwards on the output to kind of bring it back down again. You can see that again. Walking beside me, beside me. I'll bring this up a little bit as well. Buried in scarlet and tumbled in sand. fluttery effect.
Roots for hands.
Right. And power sag is, I guess, technically a distortion because it's supposed to model like an analog power supply being starved of its power, and it's trying to feed the circuit where the audio is passing through, but it's kind of crapping out in various shades of crappiness, and so you can adjust that with this range thing. But if you have it here and here, it's sort of like a squishy, compressy sort of an effect.
The oak tree walking.
It's quite a jump there, but if we do this,
The oak tree walking beside.
it's interesting that it actually is taking the volume down. It wasn't doing that before. Sometimes these plugins can be a little bit different, but I tend to just go with it because we're getting the effect that we want. If you do this here,
Under the oak tree.
okay, there's the volume. Sorry,
Roots for hands.
you can hear it really actually distorting. So there's the sound that I'm looking for, right? It's really fluttering back and forth. Yeah. So
God is the lady kneeling in the fountain.
so yeah,
Reaches for
that's the bulk of it. Now sometimes we do get some S's kind of being sort of intensified, a little bit harsh. I'm not great at this plugin, but sometimes I can get it to work.
We walk through the fire and lie in the sand.
Now I'm feeling a little bit like there's a bit much of the. Now also with this,
Gonna walk through the fire.
I'm getting a little bit too much of the power sag. So if you you can turn the wet down for that, or you can also turn the volume down on the way in. Yeah. So
The oak tree walking beside
the other plugin that I thought I would include just because
me.
is this Surge Tide. It's gonna do a really crazy sort of effect. Right? It's kind of like max Surge Tide. Both Surge Tide as well as D-Bass and Power Sag are all kind of gain dependent, so you do want to gain up if you can't really hear them doing anything. It's a kind of a common thing with some of these Airwindows plugins. They like a lot of gain. So with this though, this is just too much. But the reason I like is because you can get it to really breathe, or kind of have that sort of that power sucking kind of situation, a little bit like Power Sag too. And I used to think that it was doing this in like a dual mono kind of fashion, as in like unlinked stereo, where it's doing the left and the right channels separately. But I don't think it's doing that now. I think it's just accentuating some of the stereo ness, the stereoizing, because it's bringing levels up. But this is way too much. The rate is like the speed of the compression. The node, I believe, is like the intensity. There we go. Very fluttery, very weird. But I really like the timbre of this. Or should I say timbre? I don't know if that makes me a snooty person. Uh, so, one last little thing. If you feel like one side, left or right, is got a little too much level on it, you can adjust that. Like, so you can bring the right up a little bit, like I did here. But I don't think I'm really hearing much of that. Every trim is really useful because you can sort of do any kind of general leveling purposes in a little Airwindows box. Airwindows box. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily because of the mono compatibility thing, but as it is, it's not too bad. I used to put a stereo widener on this as well, but I really felt like it was taking too much volume away in mono playback. I felt like it wasn't keeping the level where I wanted it. But with that being said, that's about it for this. And yeah, so I guess I don't really have much more to say except download this if you're a Reaper user and tell me what you think. But if you want to see more of this kind of stuff, you're like, yes, please, then do me a favor and do the YouTube thing where where we tell you to like and subscribe and share and comment and ring the bell and so on. Yeah, but that's my thing I've got for you this week, and I think next week we'll do something else, and I'm not sure what that will be, but until then, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and week and month. And yeah, so once again, I'm Christopher Marlowe, and see you in the next one. Bye.